Veterans Day. Here's a red poppy for Veterans Day to remember the veterans. Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. November 11th is Veterans Day. A veteran is a soldier or other person who served in the United States Armed Services. Many people served and fought in wars for the United States. We remember these soldiers and other veterans on Veterans Day. Story of Veterans Day. November 11th is Veterans Day. A veteran is a soldier who has fought in a war. Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. 35 countries fought in World War I. They fought for 5 years from 1914 to 1918. The United States was in the war from 1917 to 1918. Finally, the countries stopped fighting. The leaders signed an armistice. The leaders signed an armistice. They signed the armistice on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The armistice meant the war was over. Signed a treaty or armistice. Americans were very happy to hear about the armistice. No more soldiers would die in the war. The soldiers could come home. People went out into streets and laughed and danced. They blew horns and whistles and rang bells. They sang songs. They thought that there would never be another war. Hooray, peace, armistice. I think in Europe it's called Armistice Day. No more wars ever. Our boys can come home. President Wilson made November 11th a holiday to remember the end of the war. The holiday was called Armistice Day. At 11 o'clock in the morning, everyone stopped doing whatever they were doing. People were completely silent for 1 minute. This minute was to remember all the soldiers who have died in the war. The body of the unknown soldier was brought to America from the cemetery in France. His body was buried in a tomb at Arlington National Cemetery. It was called the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. The U.S. was in 3 more wars: World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. The name of the holiday was changed to Veterans Day. The bodies of 3 more unknown soldiers were brought to the cemetery. On Veterans Day, there are special services at the Tomb of the Unknowns. Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Americans remember and honor all the veterans who fought in wars. I think this is the Vietnam War Wall, Memorial Wall in D.C. Americans remember and honor all the veterans who fought in the war. Do you know these words? Find the words in the story. Draw a line under them. Copy the words. Write the meaning. Veteran. Soldiers. Fight. Fought. World War. Country. Armistice. Leader. Sign. Horn. Whistle. Ring. Ring. Bell. Silence. Silent. Silent and then silence. Bury. Cemetery. Honor. Unknown. War. 11. Tomb. Remember. Services. Complete the sentences and answer the questions. The armistice meant that the what was over. The armistice meant that the what was over. The war, the World War. Ding, 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 ding. On Veterans Day, we honor the who fought in the wars. On Veterans Day, we honor the, soldiers who fought in the war, or veterans, I don't know. At what o'clock on November 11th, there is 1 minute of silence. At what o'clock? Let's look up here. At what time? 11. At 11 o'clock. On November 11th, there is 1 minute of silence. Do you have a day to remember soldiers who died in wars? In your country, do you have a day to remember soldiers who died in wars? When is it? When is it? What happens on that day? What happens on that day? What are the reasons that nations go to war? What are the reasons that nations go to war? Are there better ways to solve problems between nations? Are there better ways to solve problems between nations?